Nerdrotic.com.
Greetings, you over 931,000 awakening wonders and the 40% who haven't subscribed yet. It's Snyderin' time. Been a while since I reviewed a Zack Snyder film. The last one was the Justice League Snyder Cut, which I liked. Unfortunately, I dipped out after 10 minutes of Army of the Dead because it felt like watching a movie without my glasses on.
Where is his glasses? He can't see without his glasses. Put his glasses on.
But now Zack is back with Rebel Moon, a rejected R-rated Star Wars script by Kathleen Kennedy, no less, that Zack Snyder turned into his own original story. Some have said Rebel Moon has the feel and the look of Star Wars.
And yet it really doesn't.
Okay, it could be Star Wars if you took out all the likable characters, plot, creativity, world building, levity, verisimilitude, humanity, and talent. No, I think a better description is this is a Zack Snyder smorgasbord of things like Dune, Ice Pirates, Battle Beyond the Stars, Heavy Metal, and A Bug's Life, which are all things I like. This is in my wheelhouse. I like the trailer. I was looking forward to this movie. And during the first 15 or 20 minutes, it wasn't so bad. Unfortunately, the rest of the movie played out like, I won't say fan fiction, but I will say a poorly written YA novel that lacks any heart, depth, or story, but it is packed with intersectional feminism. But not to worry, because Rebel Moon, the Feminist of Fire Part 1 is just the PG-13 version. We're gonna get a much longer director's cut that's rated R 3 months after the PG-13 version of Rebel Moon, The Cringe Giver Part 2.
Whoop-de-doo, Basil.
Then you'll get the much more fleshed out rated R version of Rebel Moon, The Cringe Giver 3 months after the much more fleshed out rated R version of Rebel Moon, The Feminist of Fire. Now you may ask yourself, why would you waste your time watching a non-director's cut of a Zack Snyder film when, in my opinion, his director's cuts in some cases are better? I'm asking myself that question right now because after watching Rebel Moon, The Girl Boss of Fire Part 1, I don't care about a director's cut. Is it the worst thing I've seen this year? No. Is it good? No. The plot goes something like this. Korra, no, not that Korra, this is another lame Korra, along with the second Dario Naharis, is dispensed to follow the plot of Seven Samurai after the first Dario Naharis shakes down their little village for some grain.
What is it that this town really does well?
Farming. That is our skill. That we can do. That they cannot.
He's part of an evil empire that got slightly more evil when they killed the semi-evil king and queen and their benevolent space Jesus daughter. Now, the first Dario Naharis is in command of the space battleship Yamato, traveling via space vagina to crush any resistance to the empire. And the vast majority of this, well, I can't call it a movie, episode is spent collecting our characters. This, of course, includes Dario Naharis II, who quite frankly is the most semi-fleshed out character in Rebel Moon. He's just a simple farmer who watches the girl do the farming, gets saved by the girl multiple times, including being saved by tiny little Korra after he gets his balls grabbed and hit on by a pig guy in the space gay bar.
That's a gay bar, gay bar, gay bar.
I can see Zack Snyder's pitch to Kathleen Kennedy now. Hey, what if we do a cantina scene, except it's a gay bar? And Kathleen Kennedy responds, oh, we're gonna do that already. It's called The Acolyte. You know, the show from former personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein, Leslie Headland. Anyway, in that gay bar, they conveniently run into Charlie Hunnam's Kai and his horrible accent, and the treacherous rogue just volunteers his ship to go help them find a bunch of rebels and doesn't even ask for much money. That's not a red flag. I wonder who's gonna betray them later. Then they're off to collect a character named Tarek, who's totally not like Turok, the dinosaur hunter. And the scene with Tarek, not Turok, sums up Zack Snyder and this film. It was cool looking, watching him fly a griffin, and completely pointless. Harry Potter did it with the hippogriff much better. Then they're off to get not so stereotypical Asian swordswoman, Nemesis. And no, I'm not kidding. She's not a very stereotypical Asian swordswoman because she's not very good at swordplay. How'd you manage that, Zack Snyder? Next thing you're gonna tell me, she can't do math. Then our plucky crew of rebels is off to planet Gladiator to collect a cast member from the movie Gladiator. And their final destination is to pick up members of Space Antifa, including Ray Fisher, you know, the man Joss Whedon made cry, and non-binary woman, who look like they're all members of the Furiosa fan club. And if you think I'm kidding about the Space Antifa thing, well, I'm not. This brings us to our 5'5" uber feminist girl boss of fire, Korra. Again, it's not that lame Korra with 2 R's, it's a new lame Korra with 1 R. And we learn her story through various exposition dumps sprinkled throughout the film, once with her space Amish foster father, and a couple of times with Dario Naharis too.
But understand, I am a child of war. To truly love and be loved, I don't know if I'm capable of either.
At the Academy Militarium, they encouraged us to find a lover, someone we would defend with our lives, when the politics of expansion became too abstract, and the why of the conquest was lost in the sheer savagery of combat.
What?
We learn that tiny little Korra is a child of war who's had all good things beaten out of her. As a child, she was kidnapped by the man who killed her family, Belisarius, who saw something special in her, and trained her, and by the time she was 18, she was a commander. In battle, she lost her one true love, Jack Posobiec. R.I.P. Jack, who's gonna call out the deep state and have bad takes on Tulsa King now? Later, we learn she's the personal guard to the Space Jesus daughter of the slightly less evil King and Queen of the Motherworld. And of course, we know the Space Jesus daughter is still alive, which literally makes this story the girl who's the key to everything is in search of the girl who's the key to everything. King and Queen, who were assassinated, and then the throne was usurped by Regent Belisarius, who I'm sure had nothing to do with their murder. Korra is played by 5'5" Sofia Boutella, and while I liked her a lot in Kingsman, she is absolutely terrible as the lead in Rebel Moon. And she has every aspect of the modern intersectional feminist female lead trope of woke Hollywood. She's doing the farming while a guy watches. She beat the crap out of the rapey male feminist division of the Motherworld, who were all men twice her size. She handles the gay pigman groper with ease, where Dario Naharis too was having trouble with him. I'll ask you, dear viewer, which scene has more verisimilitude with the lead character who's intimidating? This scene from Reacher?
If you boys know what's about to happen to you, you leave now. So I'll give you to the count of 3. 1.
Or this scene from Rebel Moon?
You should have killed me. Now you're gonna die.
I'm gonna give you one chance to just turn and walk away.
But in this episode, because it's not a movie, she's one tough chihuahua. Now you might ask, does she have cybernetic enhancements? Is she on some sort of drug? Does she have superpowers? Nope, she's just really well trained.
Girls get it done.
I can't call it really an ending. I would say the plot from this episode runs out at the end, where there's a big battle between Space Antifa and the Space Nazis, who strangely look like they're in communist uniforms, and extra points for Zack Snyder for being accurate. Ray Fisher, being a man, of course has to die so his girl boss sister can go off to lead Space Antifa.
Booyah.
And of course, Charlie Hunnam's character betrays everyone, but instead of giving him a redemption arc, they kill him, because he's the disposable straight white male, although they did meet him in the space gay bar. Dario Naharis 1 faces off against Dario Naharis 2, and then Korra beats the crap out of Dario Naharis 1, and that's the end of part 1. And after all this, I still have a lot of questions. Why would a technically advanced empire capable of interstellar space travel through space vaginas, who are capable of extracting memories from a dead man's brain, not be able to grow food on a spaceship? What happened to the one good guy from the male feminist rapey division who tried to fight off the rapey guys? They were obviously setting him up for something, and then he was completely forgotten. Why introduce, quite frankly, the most interesting character, a robot with Anthony Hopkins' voice, and then have him f*** off until the very ending of the film? And why would you kill off the other 2 characters that are slightly more interesting than everyone else, including Jenna Malone's Spider-Woman and Charlie Hunnam's Kai? That's right, even with his bad accent, he's more interesting. Why does Hollywood still think the girl who's the key to everything is interesting? I guess the 2 biggest questions are, why in the hell should I care about anybody in this film, and why in the hell would anybody waste their time during the holidays watching it? This is the story of Zack Snyder, some really good ideas and concepts poorly executed. It's a series of bland and boring events, occasionally interrupted by repetitive exposition dumps.
Then there was Nemesis. Her whole family slaughtered.
The legendary swordswoman known only by the name of Nemesis assassinated 16 high-ranking Imperial officers and their security detail, all in a hunt to avenge her slaughtered children.
This is Katana. I would advise not getting killed by her. Her sword traps the souls of its victims.
And that's just one small example. But not to worry if you didn't get enough characterization or context for the story. There's a prequel comic coming from worst-selling author of multiple canceled projects, Mags Visaggio, who I'm sure wasn't hired for the transurance coverage.
It is ma'am.
And if that's not enough, there's the guidebook on Netflix. Or you can wait for the director's cut of Rebel Moon Part 1 after you watch Rebel Moon Part 2, and then you can watch the director's cut of Rebel Moon Part 2 after you watch the director's cut of Rebel Moon Part 1. Zack Snyder set out to make his own Star Wars and completely failed. Where he did succeed was making a pretty good imitation of Disney Star Wars. If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you heard, I thank you for listening this long. I will see you in the next video.
Nerdrotic.com.